Straight ahead on 12 News, a unique bonding experience in Plymouth for police and teens that comes with precision and skill. Plus, thanking a cop who steps up to make things right for a 14-year-old boy.
You know, you always hear about the bad stuff, and I'm glad there's still a lot of good people out there.
And call it the Michael Phelps effect, more swimmers get pumped about the pool. 12 News starts right now. Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. We'll get to the swimming in just a second, but first we want to show you the primary results where many local candidates were vying to move on to the general election.
And we start in Brooklyn Park, where there are 3 open city council seats. That's due to incumbents not running. In the West District, 7 candidates filed for office. The top 2 move on to November, and it was an impressive night for Susan Fa, who distanced herself from the rest of the pack. She will go up against Amy Hansen.
In the Central District, James Jackson was the top vote getter. He and Mark Maida, son of council member Bob Maida, advanced.
And in the East District, which provided the closest results, the top 2 finishers, Reva Chambliss and Lisa Jacobson, both move on to the general election.
And finally, in Brooklyn Center, 7 candidates ran for 2 city council seats. The top 4 finishers advanced in November. They are incumbent Chris Lawrence Anderson, Marquita Butler, Philip Gray, and Alexander Koenig. Some local children are thinking about getting into a different type of race.
And the success of the USA swim team at the Rio Olympics has them dreaming of becoming an Olympic swimmer. Reporter Sonia Goen stopped by the Foss Swim School in Maple Grove, where there were lots of enthusiastic swimmers.
The kids at Foss School in Maple Grove are inspired to make a splash. The recent gold medals won by the USA swim team is adding to that excitement.
In the summertime, it's already pretty high, but people have been calling in left and right, you know, in the last few days, wanting to come in and join the competitive swim programs.
Most of these children are beginners and need flotation devices, while others are more experienced. No matter the level, many dream of one day being in the Olympics.
Do you want to be an Olympic swimmer?
Yeah, I do.
8-year-old Emma Schmidt-Bauer and her 6-year-old brother Easton are watching the Olympics closely.
We liked all the swimmers the best. They take a lot of practice to do it.
They're getting some pointers, and it seems to be paying off.
They definitely recognize some of the strokes that they've been doing in swimming lessons watching the Olympics, and that kind of brings back home that it's important to learn.
More experienced swimmers are also benefiting from the Olympics. Awesome! This past weekend, a state competition was held, and the Foss team was more than motivated.
And then they had the opening ceremonies on Friday night, and they came in the next day just ready to compete after watching everybody come out there.
Whether you're dreaming of gold medals or just want to perfect your stroke, the folks here at Foss say swimming is more than a sport. It's a useful tool.
Something you can do forever, and I think it's an important skill that people should have. My hope is that it becomes the biggest sport in the world because it is a lifelong sport.
In Maple Grove, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
Foss coaches say competitive swimming, of course, takes a lot of hard work and determination. Most people swim at least 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. Well, there won't be any swimming right now at Fish Lake Regional Park Beach in Maple Grove. The beach there is temporarily closed due to elevated levels of E. coli. Testing continued today. The Three Rivers Park District will post on its website when the beach reopens and the levels are safe again. The local contractor that was fired from a Golden Valley construction project has now sued the property owner for wrongful termination and breach of contract.
Big D Construction filed a lawsuit against the owner of the Hello apartment complex, and Delane Cleveland joins us now with more on that. Delane?
Mike and Alex, Golden Villas fired Big D Construction because lumber used on the Hello apartments didn't meet fire code. Despite attempts by Big D to outline plans for replacing the lumber, Golden Villas decided to go with another contractor. In the lawsuit, Big D argues that they presented Golden Villas with several different plans, each of which the contractor says would cure any alleged default. Big D even stated in the lawsuit that they would have crews work 7 days a week for 10 hours a day in order to finish the project on time. However, the suit alleges that Golden Villas refused meetings with Big D and then terminated the contract. As a result, Big D seeks damages of at least $50,000, including attorney's fees and costs. Golden Villas chief manager Tracy Thomas said she disagrees with Big D's claims and strongly believes the termination was justified and appropriate. She plans to submit a counterclaim to the lawsuit. As for the Hello Apartments, Minnesota-based Frana Companies began the process of replacing the lumber this week. Mike and Alex.
All right, Delane, thank you. The future of a light rail line through the Northwest Metro is taking a step forward with 2 funding commitments.
Hennepin County approved funding up to 10% or $149 million. And Brooklyn Park approved its commitment to provide up to $8.1 million for the 13-mile Blue Line extension. Nearly half the funding, though, would come from the federal government. But in order to compete for that money, officials say it's important to have local funding in place first. Project Director Dan Solar says the financial commitments this week help put the project in a winning position.
These are runs on the board. This helps us start to lead the game. So it's not, is it a home run? Well, maybe it's a couple of singles and a double. And so here we are ready to move forward on the project.
The Metro Blue Line extension is on track for operation in 2021.
Plymouth police teamed up with Wayzata High School students in a unique way, a friendly match of trap shooting. 12 News photojournalist Neil Persley takes us there.
They are excellent. They are fantastic shooters.
They actually surprised me for how well they were shooting.
It was a friendly competition on the trap range.
I've never really shot with a police officer before, so it was different, but it was fun.
The Wayzata trap team invited Plymouth police officers out for an afternoon of busting clay birds. But Jim Sable saw a bigger picture.
The only time the kids have an opportunity to meet a policeman is if they're speeding on the way home from school. And I thought that's not the kind of a relationship we want them to learn to have.
We try to find any way we reasonably can to engage with the public, whether it's folks at the other end of the age spectrum, the elderly, to folks that are working within their neighborhoods and neighborhood watch groups.
It allowed the kids to have positive interaction with the police officers.
It was fun just with the competition, seeing if you can outshoot a police officer.
Could you?
I think I did.
And officers to have positive interaction with students.
We're learning a few things from them. They are excellent shooters.
My dad's a police officer, and I took him out shooting one time. He didn't do too well, so I was had low expectations for them. That's kind of bad to say, but they surprised me.
By all accounts, the event was a success.
There were usually one kid and 2 policemen talking to him. So, and it wasn't just, a little snippet, how are you, see you around. They really engaged in a conversation.
In Plymouth, Neil Persley, 12 News.
Trap shooting is the fastest growing high school sport with more than 10,000 students participating across the state. Well, coming up, money-saving tips for back-to-school shopping.
And a little bit later in sports, the Breck School in Golden Valley gets set to honor athletes from a great sports period in that school.
But first, rain and possible storms on Thursday.
Well, apparently people are not procrastinating when it comes to back-to-school shopping this year.
Now, reports show nearly 3/4 of parents already have their shopping done. And 12 News reporter Shannon Slatton explains why, when it comes to back-to-school, sometimes the early bird gets the best deal.
You need one more like this.
School supply shopping,
anything you want,
is a special girls' day for Debbie Organ and her granddaughter Mia.
It's fun if she's here to pick them out. We got the 2 plastic folders with the brads, right?
Debbie says school supply shopping lists,
they need like 4 bottles of this and 3 bottles of that,
are much more specific.
Very specific. You want to read some?
Than they used to be.
I will go by the list though. But a lot of it says it has to be Crayola, 8 boxes of markers. The pencils with the erasers has to be Kleenex tissues. Has to have a plastic folder with the brads in the middle.
Those specific lists are one reason why Walmart store manager Jason Miller says to shop early for best selection.
I would suggest people come in as soon as possible.
Stores like Walmart put up the back-to-school section after the 4th of July, which is often when prices are at their lowest.
We have 300 items under $1 in back to school. We have 600 items under $2 and 1,000 items under $3.
But if you want to save more money, look for coupons both in the paper and on social media. And don't forget about price matching policies if you find a better price elsewhere.
If we miss something somewhere along the line, we'll make sure we take care of you with the ad match.
But back-to-school shopping isn't just for the kids. Right now you can find some of the lowest price points of the year on office supplies.
I think we're done. I think we really are.
And of course, shopping with a list and sticking to it.
Actually, I did pretty good. I'm checking them off.
Always helps save money too.
Mom gets to do the rest.
For Money Savers, Shannon Slatton, 12 News.
If your child needs an expensive item like a scientific calculator, set a price alert so you will know when the item hits its lowest point. And all that stuff can add up. You know, it does. Well, coming up, a Maple Grove teen's lawn mowing lesson that's a cut above the rest.
But first, hear from one of the area's top high school swimmers in our What I Did This Summer series. John Jacobson has that and much more coming up next in sports.
Well, if you're a high school athlete, I think the Summer Olympics have a big influence on who you might become later.
Right. You've seen a lot of highlights from gymnastics this week,
right?
Swimming, and certainly can inspire. Olympic swimmers have been center stage this week in Rio. This week on his What I Did This Summer series, Jay Wilcox talks with a Wayzata standout who might have an Olympic future.
Quast spends a lot of time in the water every summer, but this year had an interesting twist. Quast competed at the U.S. Olympic trials for the first time.
When I first made the time, I was like so excited, and then when I finally got to go to the trials, I just kind of showed up and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm like with the big leagues now, and like it was really cool to sort of like just see them around the deck and see them like in the pool with you, and you're like, oh my gosh, like he's in the Olympics, and it was just a really cool experience.
Carly had no expectation of being a serious contender to make the U.S. team, but she felt she did well in her event, the 100 backstroke.
I think I did pretty well. I didn't necessarily get the time I was going for, but I feel like based on how I prepared for it, I feel like I did a pretty good job.
Quast swims in the Aqua Jets club program and loves it. It is plenty of work, though.
Usually on Monday we try and do more distance. We have doubles on Monday, and then doubles on Tuesday, just normal practice on Wednesday, doubles on Thursday, and then just normal practice on Friday and Saturday. So it's a lot of swimming, but it really helps at the end of the season when you can kind of look back and be like, okay, like all my hard work is really paying off. So.
Quast has enjoyed great success in high school as well, winning 2 events last season at the state meet, and her Wayzata team has won 3 straight championships. She's getting a lot of interest from college programs.
I've gotten a fair amount of emails and calls. July 1st was a little crazy. That's like when they can start calling you, but I like Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State, Purdue.
Becoming an Olympian is a tough goal to reach, but if things work out, Carly Quast feels she'll be much more ready to compete in 4 years.
Once you're like in the college training, it's so much more intense, so much more driven. I feel like you're just a lot stronger in the water, so you have a better chance of really going fast times and really getting out there with the fast people.
For What I Did This Summer, Jay Wilcox, 12 Sports.
Carly's high school and club teammate Madison Price, who graduated in the spring, also swam at the U.S. Olympic trials. Most of our area high schools honor former athletes and coaches with an induction into a school athletic hall of fame. Breck is one of those schools, and they are preparing to welcome 3 individuals and a team next month. The Breck Hall of Fame class of 2016 includes 3-sport athlete Meade McCarthy, who was All-State in soccer, David O'Hagan, another 3-sport athlete who wanted to play college baseball at Stanford, and Andrew Christopherson, an outstanding Breck athlete in both football and baseball. Also, the 2000 Breck boys hockey team, which won the school's first state title in that sport, also goes into the hall. McCarthy, O'Hagan, and Christopherson all competed in the late 1990s and early 2000s. It's a special time for Breck athletics.
I came to Breck in '94, so I didn't know about the rough times. I came into the real prosperous years of strong athletes, both boys and girls, and it was such a run, you know, of strong competition year after year.
The Breck Hall of Fame ceremony is scheduled for Thursday, September 15th. And that's a look at sports.
All right, thanks, John. Still ahead, frustration turns into renewed faith for a Maple Grove team.
Now, how his lawn mowing business took a sharp turn when we come back.
All right, here's a question. What does a lawn mowing business run by a 14-year-old have to do with life lessons?
More than you might think, especially when equipment is stolen and then someone steps up to replace what was lost. Paul Kokendorfer knows just how to start a stubborn lawnmower. At 14, he started his own business this summer, mowing and trimming lawns.
I'm saving up for a scout camp. Our troop is going down to the Florida Keys, so it's going to be kind of fun. And then the rest goes to college.
And with those goals in mind, getting his mower along with an edger, a broom, and everything else to the job is everything. So he put it all on this cart until someone stole it.
When I came back, it wasn't there. The cart wasn't there. Everything else was there. That and the cart and the broom weren't there. So I kind of was like, whoa, what happened?
Paul's dad says it was a learning moment.
Paul, chalk it up to a life lesson. You don't leave a cart like that on a busy street.
But there was another learning moment ahead. A few days after putting up signs around the neighborhood and filing a report with police, Paul's family found this cart in the driveway.
Tried to drop it off over here on the sly, but I got caught as I was leaving.
That's right. The officer who took the report built it himself.
It was just like, what? Because my wife had said, yeah, there's a cart in our yard or our driveway. And I was like, oh, they found the old one? She goes, no. She goes, the officer who took the initial report over the weekend, made a brand new cart.
Patrol Officer Dave Goggins had been working on his deck and with a trip to the hardware store had enough material.
I could tell it was really important to him. So it was important to me to try to do something for him and make it right. When I was 14, I did the exact same thing. I was mowing lawns and stuff. I didn't have a cart or anything like that, but I knew what it meant to a kid at that age, and it just kind of hit home a little bit more.
Paul's dad says that second lesson was about having faith.
It did more than just give him a cart back or touch his heart that someone would do this. It kind of restored his faith in people.
And that's why Officer Goggins and Maple Grove's police chief were in Paul's driveway Tuesday so Paul could say thanks.
You always hear about the bad stuff, and I'm glad there's still a lot of good people out there. So that's why I'm glad.
Very happy about all this. He'll make a few dollars this summer with the lawn mowing business, but I think what he learned over the past couple of weeks is probably worth more than that.
Yeah, renewed faith, priceless, right?
Yeah. And thanks, Officer Gergen. He's great. We'll see you tomorrow.